they respond tonight? Do the Browns?
Yeah, I think they respond. I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves with the criticism of Cleveland. The only guy who had a tougher job than Joe Burrow was Kevin Stefanski. He had a rookie offensive coordinator, rookie defensive coordinator. He's a rookie head coach. They had never traveled as a team. They had no preseason, and then they go against the Baltimore Ravens. So I know everybody wants to rush to judgment about how this the same old Browns. I don't think it's fair. I think it's too harsh, and I think they bounce back tonight. And I think they're a lot better team than people think they are.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I bet a lot of money tonight. I'm not going to lie. It's one of my biggest bets of my life. I took Cleveland big
Really?
tonight. Yes, but I will say this. I've said wrong more than a few times in my life. I think Burrow looked bigger than I thought. I think he's very athletic. I was impressed, Eric. I liked what I saw from Burrow.
Yeah, going into the season, I felt like literally he had the toughest job of anybody in the NFL. He's a rookie #1 overall draft pick playing for the Cincinnati Bengals with no offseason, with no chance to get to know the players and the coaching staff. And look, I get it. The Zoom meetings, those are great. But then you miss out on all the preseason games, and he's got to go in and operate at a high level. And I don't think it was as high as maybe some people thought it should be. But the fact that he operated so efficiently, there were very few offensive penalties. And then the draw play that you're showing now, that awareness I thought was great. I was frustrated by some of the missed throws that he had late and by the shuffle pass that ended up being an interception. But for a kid who had as much pressure as he had on him with as little chance to get ready as he had, it was a great first start.
Let's talk a little about Jimmy Garoppolo. They have a cluster injury at wide receiver. Jalen Hurts out. Debo's hurt. The rookie's hurt. They're a bit of a mess, but you don't necessarily think it's a receiver issue in San Francisco.
No, this to me is a quarterback issue. When you look at the playoffs and the way that they treated the offensive approach and the absolute dominance of the running game, and when I say dominance, I mean dominance in terms of the numbers that they called versus throwing the ball, that doesn't show a lot of confidence in what's supposed to be your franchise quarterback. And we get to this time period now where guys are injured. I think it's a great opportunity for San Francisco to really see what they have. This is essentially a contract year for Garoppolo because next year they can move on from him with $2.8 million cap hit. So if they want to make a move after the season, they're in a great position to do so. So now you find out whether or not he can carry the team. And it's situations like this that tell you a lot more than when you're loaded with talent at all the different spots.
That's interesting. Bruce Arians, he makes a comment about Tom. Now Favre's banging on Arians, and Arians is, hey, no, I don't care what anybody says. I didn't love it. I'd rather just yell it behind closed doors. What did you make of Bruce taking a little shot at Tom?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. The guy's the greatest quarterback of all time. Does he think that by criticizing Tom, somehow that's going to give him some special motivation that Tom hasn't drawn on before? And how does it help? It undermines his performance. It undermines his legitimacy. And did you take a step back and talk about all the things that you could have done better as a coaching staff? Did you spend some time saying, hey, these are the plays that we missed. These are the concepts that we should have had in. I didn't hear any of that either. And I get you want to treat everybody equal, but there's no point in this. There's no pop that's going to come from this. And I appreciate the way Belichick does it, where he never criticizes individuals, ever.
Yeah, no, it's just not his thing. All right, you know about being a coach in a hot seat. It's a reality of the NFL. Outside of Belichick and Sean Payton, I mean, even Andy Reid got run. Pete Carroll got run twice. It's a reality of the job. So Adam Gase's boss, the CEO of the Jets, is like, oh, I think he's just absolutely brilliant. I told the staff this morning, I'm like, okay, how many days until he's fired? 5 or 6? Well, what do you make when the owner comes out and starts telling everybody, when you looked awful, how brilliant the coach is?
Yeah, that's not great. It's not. There's a lot of owners that feel like by them giving you their seal of approval and their unfettering endorsement, that's going to rally the troops around you, and there's going to be a surge because the players know you're there and they know you're there for the long term. But too many times we've seen where you get the endorsement and then soon you get the hook, and it's not a secret. People know that seal of approval usually means that the leash is growing shorter, not longer.
Yeah, it's not that they lost. They look disorganized. So, Cam Newton, I mean, it wasn't the most dynamic passing offense, but I think you predicted this. It was a lot of defense. It was controlling the clock. The question is, can it beat a team like Seattle or Green Bay or Kansas City? What did you make of Cam's first New England approach, his first game?
Well, I was pretty shocked by it. I've been skeptical of this relationship since the beginning. I didn't know if he'd be willing to subject himself to the Patriot way. I didn't know if he'd be willing to fit in. I didn't know if he'd make the team. And then in talking about how he could best be used, the Tim Tebow approach, the running quarterback approach, was the way that was going to be really effective for him in New England, and that's what they did. He ran the second most that he's ever run in his career.
I know.
This past game.
Yeah.
At 31 years old, coming off an injury, and for New England, it's no big deal. They're renting him anyways. They barely paid him anything. If they get a year out of him, great. But from Cam's perspective and Cam's camp, it's not great. It's not great for long-term health and longevity in general.
Yeah. By the way, who you like tonight in Ohio? So you got Bengals in Ohio. You got Cleveland in Ohio. You live closer to Cleveland, but I like the Browns comfortably tonight. Who do you like?
I would think the Browns comfortably tonight. Now, I'll say that provided they hand the ball off to two of those two really good backs as much as they possibly can, you've got a chance to have a big play every time one of those guys touches the ball. And I get that they want to make OBJ happy and they want to make Baker into the face of the franchise quarterback. Forget about that stuff. Stop worrying about making everybody happy and give the ball to those two guys, and you'll win a bunch of games.
Yeah, I love Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb is such a special player. Eric Mangini, former NFL head coach, got several rings with New England. Coach, good seeing you again.
Good seeing you too.
Yeah, Nick Chubb was a second-round pick. Remember